It feels like all of your audition tapes are just submitted into the void, never to be heard or seen from again. Like most actors, I have also had 10 years where I've auditioned for hundreds of projects that I never heard anything back on. However, I have actually gotten past that hump and booked 3 major roles in different TV shows, from Stranger Things to FBI, and most recently Law & Order SVU. And not only did I book them, I booked them immediately off my first audition tape, 48 hours later being flown out to set. So I know a thing or two about audition tapes. So today I'm gonna break down 3 of my current students' audition tapes, giving them feedback that you can inject into your own auditions. And then at the very end, if you stay tuned, I'm gonna break down one of my audition tapes that ended up getting me on set and booking me the role. So you can see what one of those auditions that goes straight from tape to set looks like. So we are going to go to Isa. She is an actress that is always looking for ways to grow in her craft without getting stuck in her head. One of the biggest struggles she has is overthinking auditions, which makes it harder to drop in and be present. Lately, Tristan and I, that's weird to say, be myself, have been working on a technique where I improvise a bit with my reader before the scene starts, and it helps me shake it off and slip into the moment more naturally.
Just tell me what happened at home. Harper, I know it's a difficult thing to talk about, but if you tell me more, I can help you. I promise.
What is great is she's already starting the scene from a place that is clearly mid-conversation. This was in part because we were doing some stuff before the scene began, but it allows it to feel less like, oh, action was called and now the scene is happening. It feels as though the scene has been happening way before we actually see the scene start. So what makes an audition tape feel more real is that we can tell that there was that pre-life there. And I harp on pre-life in my classes a lot, which I know sometimes maybe could to some actors come across like a little bit unnecessary. It seems silly because that only seems to affect the first couple of seconds of the performance. However, not only are the first couple of seconds the most important in an audition tape because they're what allow the audience to be hooked into it from the jump. It also is what allows you to have the best ramp into where you're going to go. If you start weak, you spend the rest of the scene trying to get there, instead of if you start super strong, the rest of the scene can just unfold. It can just continue building off of the momentum that you started with.
Do you know what you told me last time about giants? I believe you. I believe they exist. So
she's in this moment trying to look at Reflectionville. And Reflectionville is just the place that you look whenever you are reflecting on someone. It's human tendency to look down right when they're reflecting on something. It's not to say everybody always looks down right when they're reflecting on something, but you will notice if right now you say, I love my mom, just like straight to the camera, straight forward. And then you say it in down Reflectionville, I love my mom. All of a sudden, it's like your body picks up on the visual cue that because you're looking down right, you're trying to access some type of emotion. Isa is trying to do that so that then when I say, I believe you, it earns the look. Now that you have said something that has earned my attention, I'm giving it to you instead of just always looking straight at your scene partner 100% of the time, which feels very stiff and unlike real life. However, Isa's Reflectionville is almost too direct and a little bit too high to where it doesn't look like she's looking in Reflectionville. It looks like that's her eye line. And then all of a sudden she looks to me and it seems like she's talking to a second person.
So can you please tell me more about them?
A giant comes from a dark place and destroys everything in its path. It's worse than that. It's not some dumb cartoon or something. A giant is...
What? What?
A giant is heat.
Isa also has a tendency to make every line really precious. And so every line is like dripping with this like intensity and this emotion. And she tends to have these beats in between her lines that make it feel a little bit more intense. And some of these lines you just need to be over and done with, like a giant is this, a giant is that. Because if every single line is precious, if every single line is special, it can start to feel melodramatic instead of true to life.
Smashing stuff isn't enough. A giant takes, it takes everything from you. And once it's done, it's like everything that made your life good was never even there.
That's horrible. Harper, are you afraid of giants?
No, I'm not afraid of them. Because I have the pentameter. With this, I can stop them.
Issa is always really great about injecting stakes. Her scenes always are very clear in terms of like what is at stake if I do not get what I want. And I think she's doing a great job of communicating that in this scene. However, another thing that we worked on that I think she can still incorporate more is because the whole premise of this is revealing trauma. I think that there were moments Issa was trying to show, look how traumatized I am, instead of prioritizing that I need you to come on my side. And I wanted to see her just try to convince the therapist even more that no, you don't get it. I need you to help me.
If I'm worthy, if I'm focused, I can stop even death itself. Even my dad's. So you say you want to help me? Believe me. Please.
Beautiful ending. And see, this is where, if the rest of this she wasn't making so precious, this ending would have been that much more impactful, because I loved how she really took her time, because it was very clear how desperate she was to get my help. But because the entire scene was just a little bit too emphatic, a little bit too intense, a little bit too precious, it kind of mutes the impact that this moment could have had if this was the line that had the most amount of preciousness to it. Now I'm going to put in the comments, great work. Here is my feedback. And then put this right into there. And if this seems really cool where you're thinking to yourself, oh my gosh, I would love for Tristan to just hop on and record little feedback videos for me in my audition tapes. Well, link in the description, join the acting lab. We're now going to check out Mr. Raul Sanchez, who ran home when he saw JB's post to get some feedback. So this is from Doubt. The framing is off. He forgot the final line. Totally fine. No worries at all. Let us check it out and watch it.
That child needs me, not her.
We needed to see some type of ramp into that instead of just looking down. That child needs me. This is a really great moment to have some of that start-stop where it's like, we see it burning up, you're trying to figure out what to say, and then that child needs me, where we can see a little bit more of that internal struggle, a little bit more of that tension building instead of just like solemnly looking down.
These children in a human way and immediately assumes there's something wrong with it, something dirty. Well, I'm not gonna let her keep this parish in the dark ages. And I'm not gonna let her kill my spirit of compassion. There are people who will try to kill your humanity, Sister James.
I think that was the line he said he forgot. But he did a good job of what I think Joey from Friends called sniff the fart acting, where if you forget a line, it's like you sniff a fart, and then you trying to find your line actually becomes like an interesting moment of, It adds this extra intensity to it. He did a little bit of the sniff the fart acting, but then I saw his eyes get a little bit like, oh fuck, I don't know what to say. And then he found it. As a whole, he captured the objective. He clearly had passion. It's then just going to be about figuring out who the person he's talking to is a little bit more, because it didn't really feel like he was looking at anybody. It kind of was clear he was looking at a blank spot on the wall. And I think that he could have taped up a photo or done, you know, some type of thing to incorporate a face into his work so that it doesn't feel like he's just talking to the wall. And I frequently do this for my audition. I will just tape up actual photos of people in my space so that instead of just looking at nothing, I'm actually connecting with something. And I think Raul could have definitely incorporated some of that. This right here is my online community, the Acting Lab, where our students have gone ahead and posted some auditions they would love for me to review today. I will make some of my own value posts breaking down different issues that actors commonly struggle with, community-led group meetups, just all sorts of different personal experiences that actors have had that you could get value from. In the Classroom tab, you'll find all of our different resources, the script library, a how to prep a character course where you can learn how I got ready for my role in Stranger Things, our past casting competition recordings, previous recordings from some of our other acting classes so you can still get value from events that happened in the past, along with some of our guest speaker recordings so that you can get value from our past guests. And then the calendar tab, you'll see all of the different classes that we host every single week, along with in the map where in the world everyone in our group is from. So you could organize your own in-person meetups and know who to reach out to for advice in your local area. If at any point you think to yourself, oh, that sounds really cool, well then, link in the description, you can join the Acting Lab to post some of your own audition tapes. And unfortunately for you, by the time this video is released, you'll have missed our New York City casting director call this Sunday. But if you join, you can attend our next guest speaker call because we do these every single month. Next, let's go ahead and check out Candace's Jinx. These are two different versions of the Jinx that I did before, with the last one being more raspy. I don't know what Jinx is, so I'm going to go into this relatively blind and just give my thoughts from a just audition tape perspective.
My name's Theorem.
Nice try, Chuck. What's all the hubbub?
Boss wants us to grab someone up.
Someone? Anyone? Who you grabbing?
Some girls. I'm not grabbing girls other than those ones, I guess.
Focus. Who are they? Why wasn't I invited to the party?
It's very much so not necessarily something you can control, but I always love whenever you have the forehead veins popping. They add this intensity to the scene. And I also love the eyeliner. It really adds this edginess to the overall character. And I think you did a really great job of incorporating both the physical aspect in how you dressed and how you styled your makeup. I will say it is very close, and it makes me feel a little bit like put on the spot. It works if your goal is to make the audience feel a little bit uncomfortable. If that's your goal in this scene, I think being this close to the camera works. If that isn't the goal that you have in this scene, it might be just a little bit too close for comfort.
You know, I think you and I got off on the wrong arm. How about we try the other?
No need.
Oh my goodness. If you're actually heterochromia, and for whatever reason I've only just now realized this, that is such a unique selling point. And one of the things that can make an actor extremely visually distinct, and sometimes that can be enough to book certain projects. I think that using the prop is great. You want to be careful about using props that draw too much attention. Obviously, don't be afraid to, take a drink out of a cup if your character is drinking a cup, but I probably wouldn't take like a glass vase and drink out of a glass vase with flowers in it. That would just be super attention grabbing. I think for the sake of this scene, where it seems like this is a little bit more sci-fi, it works. Just be careful about the scene not becoming about the prop.
It's not what you think. She's with some girl enforcer. Guess she replaced you.
You're lying.
Why bother? Her back in town, it's only a matter of time before you implode and Silco finally gets the message that you're about as good for our cause as you were for your family, Jinx.
Joe! 10 out of 10, Toots. You know, I think I figured out exactly how I want to deliver that message.
Oh, nice. I love that ending. Your button at the end of the scene is one of the most important aspects of a scene. Most of the time in your real life, you typically remember the beginning and end of something more than everything that happened in the middle, especially if it's a traumatic or fulfilling event. And so starting with that like aggressive movement is such a strong button because it allows us, the audience, to feel the chaos of that last moment, which I really liked. I do wish you didn't hide your face as much because during that like 10-second chunk, it was about the gun, not about you. I get why you did it because there is a value in the fact that it seems like you're losing control of yourself, but it's all an act. I tricked you. However, I think that you could still accomplish that without completely blocking yourself off. But as a whole, you have so much charisma in this, and the essence is so distinct. I'm watching this and thinking to myself, this is the perfect example of someone that has found their unique fingerprint and put it into their audition tape. Okay, and now I am going to go ahead and put great work. Here is my feedback. And then put this right into that. Let me look at some of what the other people said. Valeria said, you're definitely on the right track. I'd say lean into subtle shifts instead of obvious glitches. Things like a pause, a sudden change in rhythm, or letting your attention flicker for a moment can hint at that fractured mindset without feeling overdone. The smaller or more grounded those moments are, the more unsettling they become for the audience. You're already laying in a lot of nice detail. It really shows. Excited to see where you take it next. Yeah, I agree with that. I think ultimately the beauty of subtle shifts instead of the glitches in most scene work is that it can feel a little less spoon-fed, whereas sometimes if you're a little bit too obvious with it, it can feel too much like an acting choice than like something that spontaneously occurs. So this goes to show, like, I'm not an all-knowing guru. I don't know everything. And the value of this group is not just that you get to learn more from me if you find value from these videos, but you also have a lot of other talented actors that can pick up on things that I might have missed. So now we're gonna watch my audition for Law & Order SVU, which ended up not only booking me the part, but sending me straight to set from the audition. No callbacks, no chemistry reads, no network testing, just straight booking 48 hours after I submitted the audition.
Take us through yesterday morning when this guy approached you.
Yeah, so we walked past the front door of this place and he was just kind of leaning there.
The interesting thing about this audition, of all 3 scenes, I struggled with it the most because this is the scene I come across as innocent in. And my girlfriend actually gave me a really beautiful note, which is, you are way too obvious that you're the bad guy in this scene. You need to give us puppy dog eyes. And her note, I do think, is the defining thing that changed this from too obvious to that perfect blend of, if you just look at this scene on its face, it seems like I'm just a sweet and innocent, naive little kid.
What happened in the room?
Well,
This is one of my favorite tools to utilize. It's one of the easiest ways to make a scene feel more organic. You have what is called a start-stop, where you start saying something and then you can bake in the subtext. And now it leaves the audience wondering, what was he about to say? Or you can also show the internal struggle of, I'm about to say it, I'm scared, but I'm gonna say it anyway, and then I say it. I'm incorporating that start-stop in this moment. I'm not just speaking in the same pace the entire time, very methodical. I have these organic like isms that just kind of make the scene unfold in a more unpredictable manner.
after he closed the door, he put me in the bathroom. And he told me that if I came out, he was gonna kill Julia.
So you stayed in there the whole time?
Yeah. And I heard Julia crying.
I don't like that delivery. That line was forced. I was struggling with that the whole time. It's because like he is telling a lie, right? And it's really difficult to play a lie in a way that sells the lie while also making it clear when you watch it back that it's a lie. You have to do these mental gymnastics where to make sure it doesn't come across like I'm guilty, I have to actually, as the actor, decide Atlas actually isn't guilty. But then there needs to be layers where the mask slips. So to sell it so it's not so obvious, you have to start the scene by truly believing as the actor, I am innocent, so it can be sold to the audience, but then let there be those moments where you slip up.
After he let you guys go, did he say anything?
No, we just went to school.
I also wasn't really feeling it. And so what I did is I used a tear stick, put it under my eyes, and then flexing my grief muscle, it makes it feel congruent. So one of the biggest ways to tell an actor's using a tear stick is when their grief muscle isn't flexed, which means as an actor, to sell the tear stick, you can do what most people don't when they use a tear stick. And so by using a tear stick and flexing your grief muscle, it comes across a lot more convincing as if you are actually feeling sad, even if you're not necessarily feeling there. And then the funny thing is then when we got on set, I actually was able to get to that point because the audition tape is way harder than being on set and you have all of the tools at your disposal.
Did you guys talk about calling the police or letting your parents know what happened?
No. I did bring it up though, and for whatever reason, Julia didn't want to.
You weren't locked in the bathroom.
This is what I did do a really great job of. You can tell in all three of these scenes from the very first frame, a lot has happened, a lot has gone down. Like it is very clear from the last frame of this to the first frame of this that shit has happened. We are at a different point in the story. And this is why the pre-life is so incredibly valuable because it's what dictates where you start, which has a massive impact on where you go. Also, your pre-life can show in the audience immediately what point in the story you are at. And you can tell from the get-go something has been revealed that is putting my character through this stress.
I shouldn't have even been able to get hard.
Your body's response was not a sign of consent, enjoyment, or weakness. It was a reflex, not a choice.
You see the little smirk of like, I'm waiting, I'm convincing them. I'm not afraid to start the scene wiping tears away, but specifically I'm wiping them away. I'm not just letting tears stream down my face. You'll notice if you watch the final scene, it lands so differently from this because of the fact my mom originally wasn't in this scene. Originally, it was just me, Benson, and Ice-T. This scene feels way more creepy versus the scene in the show. It feels a little bit more vulnerable as well, with my mom being there and playing off of her.
Keep your own sister.
She was going to leave me.
I love that I like let loose and then I let there be a silence of like, he's finally cracking. Like we've seen the soft-spoken energy of this character. We've seen how repressed he is. But then when the wolf is coming out of the sheep's clothing, I let there be a silence to like, let the audience fully sit with, we're getting there. He just broke out of his shell. That's the way to use a pause to your advantage, is to use it as a tool for the audience to digest what they're watching, which will let what just happened have a bigger impact on them.
She was my Julia, and we were there for each other every day.
But that was going to change. She was going to go to college.
You don't get it. She was going to change. I knew it. I knew she was going to meet someone. She was going to get married. She was going to have kids. And then she was just going to be someone else's Julia.
And you notice too how I'm adding some bass into my voice now, which is not only showing the difference between all of these scenes in terms of energy, but also I'm even changing my voice in between these scenes, making the mask finally coming off have an even bigger difference.
Okay, I guess I wanted to have that moment frozen in time.
His attorney's here.
I didn't ask for a lawyer.
Your mother sent him.
Does Julia know?
I don't know what she knows.
Do you think I'll ever be able to hear her voice again?
Maybe in court.
I could have had a better last moment. It's such an intense way to end the scene. I needed a better button, but ultimately that's like a 1% increase, right? And look at the button I have in the show. And this is like the value in comparing audition tapes to final show performances. It's two things. One, you see in your audition tape, you're not expected or required to have every single thing figured out. You don't need to perfectly hit the exact performance that you're going to have on set. So that's step number one. But step number two, start to inject what you see in the final work into your performances. So the easiest way to have improved this tape is to have a button similar to what I had in the show. And guess what? Next time I get an audition that has a similar ending to this one, I'll incorporate the button that I had in Law and Order into that audition tape, which will increase the quality, which will then obviously increase the likelihood of me booking the project. Everything you just saw, I am going to post full breakdowns to in the comments of all of my students' posts. Keep in mind, this is a YouTube video. There are basically just the highlights from each scene that we are putting in there. I think I recorded like 10 of these. We're only gonna choose the top 3. So if you wanna see even more of those, and if you would like either a sequel to this, or you would like to get one of your own feedback videos exactly like this, then join the Acting Lab, link in the description. And in addition to getting all of the feedback from me on your different audition tapes or acting work, you also get to participate in casting competitions where you perform in front of real experts such as Alan Scott Neal. You'll have missed him, but you can be here in time for the next guest. If all of that sounds interesting, you can either click the link in the description or scan that little QR code if you're on TV or laptop right in that corner above. And if you would like to know more about my journey in booking Law and Order, you can go ahead and check out this video right here.